everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Momna from Momna's Life. If you're new, hello. I'm Momna. I make a lot of lifestyle videos as well as travel vlogs and a lot of skincare, so definitely check out my other videos if you're interested. In today's video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about my birth experience. If those of you that knew, I was pregnant and I had the baby, so I definitely want to give in my insight on how my pregnancy was, and also just labor signs that I didn't know, and overall what I experienced during my pregnancy, so that if you're pregnant and you're wondering, am I in true labor, like what is happening, hopefully this brings a little bit of insight for you, because I was so lost, and I feel like when you're first pregnant, there's so many things nobody tells you, and as you go through it, you have to figure out for yourself exactly what's going on. So and just to let you guys know, I did have a fully natural birth. I did not have any epidural. I had no pain medication, nothing. It was like the full-on experience. So let's get right into it. So for me, actually, I gave birth at 37 weeks and 4 days. At some point, I was actually very tired of being pregnant. It was just getting very painful and uncomfortable, and just like I couldn't sleep at night. So I tried to induce my own labor. I don't really recommend it, and I'll tell you why. So there's actually this video that I watched, and this video, I found it from TikTok, and basically, she does these stretches basically that supposedly help you induce labor, and it's recommended to do it after 37 weeks when you're full term. Again, I don't recommend doing it. I did do it, and I think it definitely helped me get into labor, and I did a few other things which I'm gonna again talk about. So I was actually in predominant labor for 2 days, and this literally happened after I did the stretch. So I did the stretch, and then after that, I was drinking a lot of raspberry leaf tea. I drank a lot of okra water. Well, not a lot, but I drank a good amount of okra water. And I think it really worked, and it really helped with my labor as well. So drinking that, doing the stretch, and then also what induces labor is being intimate with your partner. So I was just telling my husband, I was like, you know what? I'm really tired of being pregnant. Let's just get it on. And even my midwife told me that, be active with your partner, and that it could help even make labor easier because you want to like help your cervix get thinned out. So that's what I did. The first night I tried to induce my labor with the stretch and being intimate with my husband, I went into what I thought was real labor. And the reason I thought it was real labor is because I literally was getting contractions every 3 to 5 minutes, and then it was coming every 1 minute. So I was like, oh my God, I'm in labor. My husband and I, we literally were ready. We walked up the block to my husband's parents' house because we had to get our bag that we had packed for the delivery. And I didn't go to a hospital. I went to a birth center. So I called the midwife and I was telling her, I was like, I really think I'm in labor. And then she was telling me, keep up with your contractions. Guys, I was in labor, not in labor. I was experiencing predominant labor from, I think this first night, it was like, we did it a little later. So it was like from 1 a.m. to like 6 a.m. So I was in predominant labor for about 5 hours, right? And this means I could not sleep the whole night because the contractions were so painful that it was like really bad menstrual cramps, like really, really bad menstrual cramps, like to the point that you had to breathe through it, right? The next day, I did have an appointment at my birth center for, the pregnancy anyway. So when I got there, again, I didn't go into real labor. It eventually stopped, and then I just went to sleep in a lot of pain. But again, we went to my appointment, and because of this predominant labor, I was like, was that false labor? Like, did it do anything? So what the midwife did that day is she checked my dilation. I was just like, I want to know, because what the hell was going on the other night, right? So she went ahead and did her thing. And a cervical check, honestly, just feels like you're getting raped. Not literally. It just feels like really getting fingered really, really hard. And I didn't know that's what they did to check your dilation. But when I went to that appointment after that night, I was 4 centimeters dilated. But I wasn't effaced, I believe. She said my cervix was still thick, but I was 4 centimeters dilated. So whatever contractions I was getting were doing something. So I was like really excited after this. I was like, oh my God. So I'm really about to like see my baby. And all of that. So what I did was, it was either that day or the next day, I was like, let me try to induce myself again. Ha ha ha. So what I did was I did the same thing again. I drank more raspberry leaf tea. I had more okra water. I then did the stretch again. And then I told my husband, let's be intimate. I was like, let's do it a little earlier because I don't want to be in labor that late. Turned out when we were intimate again the next day, I started getting contractions again. This time the contractions were freaking worse. They were even worse than my first time. And I think I was in predominant labor for probably like 8-9 hours this time. It was so painful. I was breathing, I was moving my body. My husband had to like do that thing, if you looked into it, where they like put pressure on your back. And like, I really thought I was in real labor. Eventually the contractions, like, they started off like closer together and they started getting further apart. I couldn't even sleep that night, I remember, like, and like, I think it started coming in 8-minute increments. Same thing, I called my midwife. She told me to feel it out and see like if it's real labor or not. Was predominant labor. So at that point it was like 8 minutes apart. I was up all night stretching, crying. I was in so much pain, guys. It gave me so much anxiety. And I eventually went to sleep in 8-minute increments. While the contractions came, I kind of just breathed through them in the bed, and then 8 minutes I slept. Eventually it kind of fully disappeared, but then I just had this really, really uncomfortable pressure that did not leave my lower pelvic area. And I was just so traumatized after this. Like, I remember the next day I was like so anxious. I was like, I'm never inducing labor. I just, like, when the baby wants to come, the baby wants to come. At this point I was just like, let it happen later, because I need a break, because this was like one of the worst experiences ever. Yeah, one day went by, and then I woke up like, so missed one day. The following day after that, I went to bed and I was still having pressure, and I was just so uncomfortable at this point. And then I woke up and my menstrual cramps were getting more intense. It was just so painful. And I actually, because I just told you guys I had like so much anxiety from the first 2 predominant labors, that I was like, oh my God, I didn't even do anything this time to induce anything. Why am I feeling this? And I started crying that morning, and I was just really, really scared, like, of the pain. I don't want to go through it again, but the pain was getting really bad this morning, and I was like, what the hell is going on? So I went and I had to pee. So I went to use the bathroom. I wiped myself and there was blood. I was like, what is happening here? No one told me that if you go into labor that you would see blood. At least I didn't know that. So I was just like, but at this point this has to be labor, because I'm in so much pain. Slowly it was just really hard for me to talk. My husband was there, and I was just telling him, I was like, dude, I think like I'm in labor, and like we need to go now, because like I'm in so much pain this time. Like, this time I couldn't talk. Even before, when I called the midwives, I was able to speak with them. This time my husband had to tell them like she's in a lot of pain. And from there we walked back to my husband's family's house, which is a 15-minute walk. I don't know how I walked 15 minutes, guys. It was like the most painful walk of my life. When we got here, my husband's dad thankfully drove us to the birth center, which is only like a 5-6 minute drive. Oh my God. And my labor was pretty brutal, because in a sense I was in labor for like 3 days, if you think about it, because I'm sure the second day I got more like dilated. And when I got to the birth center, they checked my dilation and like how effaced I was. I was 10 centimeters dilated when I got to this birth center, and I was like 90% effaced. So I was in full blown labor when I got to this birth center. And guys, it was the worst experience ever, because I was like, I had this urge. We were walking back and forth through the place. There's like a long hallway, and I just had this urge to vomit. We walked to the bathroom. I just immediately I blurted vomit everywhere. It was like white clear vomit, because I hadn't eaten anything, because it was morning. I had no time to eat anything, barely even drink any water. And then I was just bleeding, like there was blood. And then I wanted to do a water birth, so they did fill up the tub for me. I got in the tub for maybe like 20-30 minutes, and I was just like, this is not it for me, my water never broke. They had to break my water, and then I pushed for about 12 to 15 minutes and my baby girl came out. So I didn't push for very long. I really think the raspberry leaf tea, the okra water, I walked a lot during my pregnancy, and I worked out on Wednesdays. I went to a cardio class. I didn't go too crazy, but I was keeping active. I was doing like squats and stretches, and I walk a lot. I think I did mostly at least 10,000 steps a day or more. Some days I did like 20,000 steps earlier in my pregnancy. Towards the end, I could barely walk anywhere. So overall, you know, the natural birth was really hard. If I was at a hospital, I think I 100% would have been like, just give me that epidural, because labor is really, really no joke. And then when they say to like put the pain on a scale of 1 to 10, it is like way worse than that. So I would also agree that labor is like an out of body experience, and you won't understand that until you go through it. And if you go fully natural, it's like, let's say you're in excruciating pain, there's people around you, you know people are around you, and you hear them, but you're so deep into this pain that it's just like you're there but you're not there, and all you're doing especially is just reminding yourself to breathe. So I was taking crazy deep breaths. I watched a sequence of videos during my pregnancy. So education is definitely, you need to know what's happening to your body in labor. Like, don't go into this blind, especially if you're planning on having a natural labor like myself. I had planned, I want a natural labor. So definitely watch, I'm gonna leave all the videos links down below for what I did as far as breathing techniques and even inducing your labor if you also want to just get it over with. But again, it doesn't work for everybody, I'm sure. Like, everybody's body is different. But these videos, they're very long. They're like an hour each. There's a whole playlist of them. The lady goes over breathing techniques. It's similar to like hypnobirthing. So I'm not a meditator. I never was able to meditate. I'm like an overthinker. So there was like no way that was going to work for me. But breathing is so important. Like, through my whole pregnancy, I was like, not pregnancy, through my whole labor, I was like breathing through the pain, and you want to do like moans and moos and ahs. I sounded crazy, but I was at that point, you don't even care. You just like breathe, and just know labor is not clean. It is not clean, if you know what I'm saying. So all of that, my husband saw everything. It was crazy. And last thing I want to say is, for pushing, any like tips on pushing, I didn't know how I would push. And like, it's weird, like when you're pushing, your body just has this urge to push. It's weird, but it's so painful. I was screaming on the top of my lungs during labor, and I was trying to remind myself, don't scream, don't like waste your energy, like try to breathe. And then I gave birth on my back, and to push, basically they'll tell you take in a full deep breath, and then you hold that deep breath, and then you push with all your power for 10 seconds. And yeah, I pushed my baby out in 12 to 15 minutes, and I'm very proud of myself. I did not tear badly. I only tore inside. So when I had to like pee finally and use the restroom number 2, I was not in much pain. I felt pressure, not pain. So yes, if you guys have any other questions about my labor that I probably did not mention in this video, feel free to leave a comment down below. I hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn your bell on. See ya.